My name is Hadi Navi. I am the Project Manager and Systems Trainer at ITT Communications. I have developed several training videos specific to the use and features of the ShoreTel Call Manager application. I hope these videos are useful to you and your organization, either as a training tool or they may assist in getting your staff familiar with the application prior to a ShoreTel system deployment. This is lesson 2. In this lesson, I'm going to show you a couple of basic functions using ShoreTel Communicator, namely how to transfer a call and how to make a conference call. I'm going to show you how to transfer a call using ShoreTel Communicator. ShoreTel Communicator deals with transfer of calls in two different ways. One is a blind transfer and the other is a consultative transfer. A blind transfer is when you transfer a call to another extension without letting that extension know that you're transferring the call, essentially the rude way of doing things. A consultative transfer is when you transfer the call to another extension, but you let them know you're transferring a particular call before you make the transfer, the polite way of doing things. Let's try this. I'm going to show you a blind transfer first. I'm going to receive an incoming call from an external caller now. I right-click and I answer the call. The caller tells me that he needs to speak to James. James Brown is another member of my organization, and I need to transfer this call to James. I'm going to do this by using the shortcut menu. All I need to do is right-click on the active call and choose Transfer from the list. I'm going to be presented with another window, which is essentially the transfer window. All I need to do now is start typing James's name. The list is going to get shorter as I type. Eventually I find James Brown, click on his extension, and I click on the transfer button. This is a blind transfer, so James doesn't know that I'm transferring a call to him. By clicking I have transferred the call to James, and the caller and James are in a conversation with each other. Let's try a consultative transfer now. This time I'm going to let James know before I transfer the call. Incoming call from an external caller. I right-click and I answer the call. I right-click and I choose Transfer from the menu. I'm presented with the transfer window. Start typing James's name. Once his name has come up and his extensions come up, I select his extension. This time, instead of clicking on the transfer button, I'm going to click on the consult button. The minute I hit consult, the system puts the caller on hold, pending transfer, and is ringing James. As soon as James picks up, I'm going to be presented with two options. James has now picked up the phone, and I'm speaking to James while the caller is still on hold. I can let James know that I have a caller on hold, pending a transfer to him. If James is available to take this call, he will say, yes, please go ahead. All I need to do is click on Transfer. I have now lost the call, and James and the caller are in a conversation with each other. Let's say James was busy and didn't wish to take the call. Let's try this again. I have an incoming call from an external caller. I answer the call. He wishes to speak to James. I'll right-click, choose Transfer from the menu, start typing James' name, click on his extension. I choose Consult. The caller goes on hold. James's phone is ringing. James picks up. I'm presented with the two options. This time, James says that he's busy and he doesn't wish to speak to the caller. All I need to do now is click on No Thanks. I have the caller back. I can let the caller know that James is not available and can't take his call. Would the caller wish to leave a message on James's mailbox? The caller will say yes. All I need to do is again transfer the caller to James's mailbox. I right-click on the active call. I choose Transfer. Start typing James's name. Select. And I'll be presented with an option that says To Mailbox. When I click on the To Mailbox button, the caller will be transferred to James's voicemail box. He can leave a message for James, and James will be able to deal with his request or his call once he's finished with his work. To initiate or make a conference call works in a very similar way to transferring a call. Let's try a conference call now. We have an incoming call from an external caller. I pick up the call. While we're having this conversation, we realize that we need to bring James into this conversation too, as it's probably the same project that we're working on together, and James needs to hear this. In the same manner that I transferred the call, all I need to do is right-click on the active call. This time, I choose Conference from the shortcut menu. I'm presented with the conference window, which is very similar to the transfer window. I start typing James's name. I select his name once it comes up on the list. Here, again, I have the option to conference James into this phone call blindly, or to consult him first before I bring him into this conversation. We're going to consult him first and be polite. I click on the Consult button. It puts the caller on hold and starts ringing James. As soon as James picks up, I'm presented with the two options: to either bring James into this conference call, or James may be busy and may not wish to come into this conference call. James says he's happy to come into this conference call. All I need to do is click on the Conference button. And now we have a three-party conference. This is the caller, the external caller. This is James. And this is the conference call. I have full control of this conference call. At any point in time, if I wish to drop any parties out of this conference call, I can do so by selecting the party, right-click, and choosing Drop from the shortcut menu that appears. Now, as you can see, it's only James and I that are on this conference call. You can also join two active calls to initiate a conference call. For example, we have an incoming call from an external caller. I answer the call. While I'm having this conversation with this external caller, James calls me. I can put this caller on hold by right-click on an active call and choosing Call from the menu, and I can pick up James's call. I'm speaking to James now while that external call is on hold. While I'm having this conversation with James, we realize that we need to bring the caller into this conversation too and have a conference call. To join these two calls together and make a conference call, all I need to do is right-click on the call that is on hold and choose Conference from the shortcut menu. Now we have a three-party conference. The external caller that had called me originally is not on hold, and neither is James. All three of us are on the same call. Same rules apply as before. I have full control of this conference call, and I can drop any party from this conference call whenever I wish. All I need to do is right-click on the active conference call and choose Drop from the list that appears for that particular individual that I want to drop out of the conference call. Let's drop James out of this conference. James is out of the conference call, but I'm still having this conversation with the external caller that had called me originally. This was the end of lesson 2. In lesson 3, I'm going to be talking about windows in ShoreTel Communicator. Thank you for your time.